Even holding a pen was incredibly painful because I had open wounds from all the itching, and it would just sting at every product, every cleanser that I tried to use. It just seemed like a gamble every time I wanted to commit to any plans. I remember for my birthday, I woke up and I had rashes on my face, and it's really hard, especially when they're on places of your body that you can't hide. After I stopped the immunosuppressant, I was experiencing probably the worst pain and discomfort I've ever been through in my life. And I remember suddenly realizing that I was really grateful for the decision I made to heal naturally.
Simone has been through our program and she has had some really beautiful success with healing her skin, but much more. Simone, before she was on quite the journey with restrictive diets, lots of allergies, and also lots of different medications, one of them even resulting in a fatty liver. So she's been dealing with a lot in the way of medications prior to finding us and actually finding and addressing her root causes. So, yeah, super excited to walk you through her journey today and for you guys to hear in her words, her journey, her experience, and where she's at now. So, with that being said, Simone, let's dive in. Take me back to 6 months ago, long before the program, even, and tell us a bit about where you were with your skin and how that was impacting you day to day, the challenges that you were facing with your eczema.
Yeah. So prior to the program, actually for many years prior, I suffered from irregular flare-ups that would keep me up at night, mainly on my face and my fingers. I'd wake up really inflamed, itchy, and red. It was really uncomfortable and distracting, and the nonstop itch, the unpredictability of my skin caused a lot of anxiety every day around like meeting people, just going out, going to work, and definitely like feeling confident in my body. Day to day, my skin was like a massive hindrance to me just doing regular chores, washing my hands. At its worst, like even holding a pen was incredibly painful because I had open wounds from all the itching, and it would just sting at every product, every cleanser that I tried to use. But otherwise, if I didn't use those cleansers, I'd be susceptible to bacteria and that would give me anxiety. Yeah, it was just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of angst.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It can feel like a bit of a vicious cycle trying different topicals and to no avail and yeah, experiencing like the pain and them making your eczema worse. So I can
Yeah.
imagine it was quite mentally draining, just like constantly thinking about your skin being in the back of your mind and your skin dictating and infiltrating like every other thing that you do.
Yeah, everything I did that day, I was like, oh, how is this going to make my skin worse? Or how is this going to be painful because of the skin condition that I'm having at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. And it's so common for people to, well, when you have a rash on your skin, on your hands, on your face, wherever it might be,
Mm.
people are only seeing that rash. They're not recognizing what's going on internally and recognizing
Mm.
that there's a lot of head noise. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of planning around your skin and things that
Yeah.
maybe hold you back. Did you ever experience your skin holding you back in any ways?
Yeah, definitely. Like, even making plans with friends, like, I know that they're not judging me, but
Yeah.
if I wake up one day and I'm suddenly just like red and swollen, I just want to cancel all plans and stay at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was really hard not knowing what my skin was going to look like the next day. It just seemed like a gamble every time I wanted to commit to any plans or look a certain way. I remember even for my birthday, I woke up and I had like rashes on my face, and it's really hard, especially when they're on places of your body that you can't hide.
Yeah.
And like putting makeup on is not going to help. It's probably just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, on your birthday. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Eczema didn't realize it was your birthday, but yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of times when our eczema can definitely hold us back and we just want to stay home, isolate. That is so common and it's something that takes a bit of work to break yourself out of that little bubble that you want to put yourself in, which yeah,
Yeah.
just something that everybody who goes to the program and even if you haven't been through the program, you might be experiencing that too. So that is really normal, especially when you have eczema in very outwardly facing places like your face and your hands where you can't hide those. But thank you for sharing that, Simone, and just understanding how that was impacting you day to day. What were some of the things that you tried to do to heal your skin in that time before you found us, and how was it different to what we went through here in the program?
I, like most people, I went to the doctors and they referred me to dermatologists. And the solution that they provided me for many years was steroid creams, then steroid ointments at various strengths. So it kind of just slowly went up the ladder. And I noticed my skin was not responding very well to those. And I was aware of this TSW term floating around the internet and the dangers of relying too much on this sort of medication. And because, yeah, I did notice like when every time I went to the dermatologist, they would just prescribe me something stronger. And deep down, I just thought that doesn't seem quite right. If it was really effective, I felt like my skin would just be getting better, but it just kept bouncing back. And I didn't used to have eczema on my face. So as I saw that evolution, I thought, okay, something seems to be coming from within. I just felt like hot and inflamed, not just on the surface of my skin. So I started to pursue some other options. So I went to Chinese herbal medicine, I went to allergy doctors who then recommended various elimination diets. And because
Mm.
they had picked up on so many IgE allergens, the elimination diet they prescribed me was quite extreme. So that definitely caused a lot more anxiety. And then finally, it was also the abrocitinib immunosuppressant tablet.
Yeah.
So prior to the program, probably for 4 months or so, I was on the really extreme elimination diet as well as the abrocitinib tablet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been around the block with all the different things that you can try before going
Mm.
towards and really understanding like why do I have all this inflammation? And we hear that so often, people coming into the program and just being like, I know there's something else.
Yeah.
You have this innate wisdom inside of your body, and you're looking for solutions in other areas. You're going to a dermatologist, you're going to an allergy doctor, maybe you're going to see a regular doctor or an infectious disease doctor. There's so
Mm.
many avenues that you're trying to seek help with the intention to understand your body, but oftentimes a lot of those routes, it is just suppressing that inflammation and not actually dealing with it. It definitely get exhausting trying to uncover what's going
Yeah.
on and just being met with a dead end or back at square one, and you're realizing that, okay, wait, the rashes are still here,
Yeah.
they're coming back, and that I'm not actually getting to the root cause of why they are here. And that's just so common. And for people to spend so much time and money and energy, it can be really
Mm.
exhausting, and it can make it really hard to try to do something different, especially when
Yeah.
you're on elimination diets as well. Like, that's tricky. Like, food is often such a source of like comfort, and people are social around food, and there's also like a cultural aspect too. So
Yeah.
having to give up a lot of that food, I can imagine that was really frustrating and really tricky. Tell me a little bit more about the
Yeah.
food and the allergies.
Yeah, I think you put it really well. Like, it was definitely a social aspect, it was definitely a cultural aspect. And I think a lot of people gravitate unhealthily towards food as a source of comfort as well, binge eating or things like that when you feel particularly upset. And that was really hard because it's like when you just want to gravitate towards something that will make you feel better, but
Mhm.
then now you have to reframe and think, oh, actually, it's not good for me. And I've lost that ability to feel comfort from this avenue that I have always relied on. And I think I always actually had food allergies growing up. So I was actually quite good with staying disciplined with what I ate. But this was just like a whole other level of things I couldn't eat. And it was a lot of food that I enjoyed, a lot of food that I regularly ate. And yeah, I think in my mind, I just was like, there's no way I'm cutting all of that out. What am I supposed to eat after that? And I think in my mind, I also thought, this doesn't seem right because I'm now no longer able to eat a lot of foods that are like classified as healthy as well, like a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, like the diversity was all gone. And I think what I found really difficult was the allergy doctors explained the linkages between one allergen to another. And so they just said, for safety reasons, you should these are all of the things that are related to your allergen that
Yeah.
you could also eliminate if you like. I think they were just giving me guidance, but in the moment it was so overwhelming. And one thing that I think sets the program really apart is that the professionals here, they speak to each other, that they see the different elements of my body and of my health, and they come up with a holistic kind of protocol. Whereas when I went and saw all those individual doctors, they didn't speak to each other. They were all giving me their own piece of advice
Yeah.
and leaving it up in my court when I had no idea what to do with all of that information. It was just like an overload, essentially.
Wow. Yeah, that's so well put. And with the food piece, yeah, already having so many allergies and then being told here, just remove these just in case, or,
Mm,
you are allergic to all these things too.
yeah.
Of course, that would be overwhelming. And in the program, obviously, like you said, to your point there, it's we are all communicating and like working together and also understanding like what foods do we actually need to give up because you have this sort of like gut inflammation or whatever it might be versus, oh, just cut all this out just in case.
Mm,
Very personalized, like you said. So considering your health, your body, what you've been going through, and where you want to be, it is a very personalized approach. But yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, you're seeking support from these different paths. But yeah, they're not communicating, and it's really hard to try to implement everything from these different doctors and
mm,
the different levels of support without actually knowing why you're doing it.
yeah.
Totally understand that that's
Yeah.
definitely been frustrating. When you came into the program, were there any parts of you that had a little bit of resistance or you are maybe like a little bit hesitant about embarking on the journey with us?
Mm. I was definitely hesitant to pursue it because I was already, as you said, like mentally exhausted
Yeah,
from all the testing, from all the going to different professionals, and of course, the discomfort in my body at the time was still quite severe. And I was very opposed to starting from scratch again at the risk of getting back to square one or worse, which is what kind of those previous experiences led to.
yeah,
I was really starting to question whether or how I could ever get better. So I think I remember saying, this is like my last straw. Like I literally, I don't have much energy left in me to pursue another thing.
for sure.
But yeah, I had seen videos and the learning materials on the Instagram that made quite a lot of sense to me given my experience. And more, it sounded like people in the program were in the same boat as me. They were being tossed around by just an overwhelming amount of information, and it was often like contradictory information as well. So yeah, that's what ultimately drove me to try the program and see what I could learn from the professionals, because yeah, it seems like after doing a lot of research into it that the professionals understood the domino effect that a condition like eczema can have on the body and on your life. It's not just a skin condition, it's like it touches on every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
So that's what I found interesting. And I wanted to learn more from the people in the program.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds while you were seeking out all of these other kind of, or going down these other avenues of support and the kind of more the conventional route, it's common to start to question like, okay, but why and like how and what's going on with the other parts of my body, exactly like that domino effect. Like it's exactly like that for sure. And it is so common for so many emotions to pop up and like that hesitancy. Like I just want to normalize that because when you try so many different things like you have and you've had all these other diagnoses, like all these allergies and you're on this medication and things like that, it's really hard to know, am I making the right decision joining a
Mm,
program like this one because I've never done this, maybe this kind of feeling before, or I've done it all in like separate chunks and not ever together. So of
yeah.
course, like it's super normal to be a bit hesitant and to be a bit unsure. Is this going to work when you have invested so much time, money, energy into other different paths? So I'm really grateful that
Mhm.
you kind of allowed yourself to continue to stay curious, to workshop getting over that fear, and then to coming into
Mm.
the program and kind of testing out the waters a little bit beforehand on Instagram and just understanding what it is we actually do and what it is we actually offer. So you worked through all of that hesitation, you made that leap of faith. What were some of your biggest aha moments that you had while you were in the program?
I would say the biggest thing was that my body wasn't my enemy.
Oh,
I think for a long time, I just thought, what is wrong with me? I think a lot of people with eczema would experience that because you just wake up one day and you're like, great, this is what I look like today, or this is how I feel now. Yeah, realizing that all the symptoms I had been experiencing were ways that my body was trying to speak to me, was trying to signal to me that something was wrong deeper beneath the surface of my skin. That was probably the greatest aha moment in the program. I started to shift my focus away from my skin and towards work on like mindset, on sleep, on nutrition. And I noticed all of the lifestyle patterns and habits that caused accumulated toxins and stress on my body and that and its effect on me physically.
yeah.
So I think from that point onwards, like massive weight was lifted off. I knew that my painful eczema wasn't something that I just had to live with, but it was actually a response to a whole host of other underlying factors. And yeah, the program helped me dissect that and made it really manageable by tackling one at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy that you touched on the piece that like my body's not the enemy, because so many people just think like something's wrong with me, and they feel a lot of
Mm.
frustration and anger towards their body. Did you feel
Yeah.
the same way?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think it's because of the narrative that we were told, a lot of us would have been told by doctors that eczema is just, it can't be cured.
Mm.
And it's true to some extent that, yeah, we will always have eczema, but the way that it was phrased, I think, was very scary for someone whose symptoms were so out of control.
Yeah, you get given this label and you're just like,
Yeah.
so it's to think about, yeah, enrolling in a program where we tell you like there is hope and you can manage and you can heal this. It's hard
Mm.
to kind of peel back the layers of, yeah, these labels that you've been given and that narrative that you've been fed for so long.
Yeah, like definitely if you have dry and broken skin barrier, that's something that you will always be susceptible to or more susceptible than others. But yeah, it was just being able to trust that, yeah, you can actually manage it and you can know how to protect and support your body
Yeah.
rather than just suffer the consequences and the discomfort forever. I think that was a really big thing for me to know that there was hope.
For sure. Yeah, I'm so happy you touched on that. And it sounds like you spent a bit of that time like reflecting as well. Like you can
Mm.
understand, okay, this is what I'm focusing on now. And I can see how because I wasn't focusing on these things in the past, that's how I came to find some of these root causes. That's how these toxins came to accumulate in my body. You had a bit of a hindsight as to how and why you got to this place in the first place, which is really valuable because then you can start to really see the value in the pillars, exactly like you said. Like in the program, we practice mindset, sleep, nutrition, digestion, movement, and finding connection. And they're the lifestyle pieces, and they have such a major impact on your overall well being. In the program, we talk
Mm.
about the nervous system a lot, and those pillars are key for getting your body in that state to heal.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your experience with the nervous system side of things and the pillars and how that helped your nervous system just kind of settle, get into that place to heal.
Yeah, I think the nervous system piece was definitely like a turning point for me in the program.
Mm.
Being able to just let go of needing to know the outcome with 100% certainty and also learning not to put a deadline on my healing because I think those were all elements that probably until recently I was struggling with. Even throughout the program, I was at the end of the 6 months, I hope that I'll be able to do this and look like this. And
Mm.
I think being able to let that go and just actually trust in the process and enjoy the process of healing was really powerful because then it relieved me of that pressure and of the expectation that I'd have to get to a certain point in my skin and in my body. During, I'd say, the worst phases of my TSW, which just hit me like a truck after I stopped the immunosuppressant, I was experiencing probably the worst pain and discomfort I've ever been through in my life. And I just remember suddenly realizing that I was really grateful for the decision I made to heal naturally. I saw how, in the midst of those symptoms, I just saw like how unwell and sick my body was. And I just realized that the years of not knowing how to interpret my symptoms, years of not really truly understanding the impact of the treatments I was using, how that actually affected my body,
Yeah.
it just all manifested in all of those bad TSW symptoms. And so, yeah, being able to accept and appreciate the work my body was doing to heal and to trust that process, like being patient, helped, yeah, relieve a lot of the pressure off and paint a bigger picture.
Sounds like you really worked on the mindset piece and you really tried to cultivate a lot of love and respect and support for your body and all that it's been through, all that it does for you, and just cheering it on and hoping that it
Mm,
heals. And of course, when you experience this, but it's all very possible. But I can
mm,
imagine it was probably pretty hard to lean into that in the beginning, but
yeah.
you were able to through working on the pillars and through working on the nervous system. So thank you for sharing that. It sounds like that was a big turning point for sure. What were some of the other turning points or big aha moments that you had in the program?
Other aha moments, I would say, are like the food piece. Danielle really helped through the protocols to reintroduce me to foods.
Yeah.
I think because of the elimination diet, I had this kind of unhealthy like fear of foods triggering further reactions. And I think through the program, bless you, through the program, I think I was able to trust that the practitioners knew when certain foods were appropriate for me to add back in. For example, on my allergy panel, they said that I was quite allergic to molds. And the allergy doctors said, look, molds are associated with fermentation. Like, you should probably avoid all of these foods that are fermented. But then in the program, I saw the other side of things where they say fermented foods are actually really great for supporting your gut. And from the GI map, you had leaky gut symptoms or you had a deficiency of certain gut microbiome, and you should actually supplement because the benefits outweighed the possible costs on your body from an allergy perspective. And so, yeah, like I think just the knowledge from attending the calls and from understanding like that the body is just a whole connected system. Like, your if your gut is leaky, then you might actually be allergic and sensitive to a lot more things that you previously weren't.
Mhm.
Seeing both sides to why I had a reaction or why not I didn't have a reaction
Yeah.
was really helpful, and it helped me to reapproach food in a healthy way and in a brave way. And yeah, just having the small wins along the way, like even just reintroducing one new type of vegetable and not responding badly, I'll be like, yes. And
Yeah.
then it will bring up my confidence to, yeah, to keep trying.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Simone. I want to circle back and chat about some of your root causes because you had a lot of allergies, so there was a lot of immune dysfunction, and there was a few other things there too happening in the gut. And then also want to talk about the reintroduction and starting to see some of that healing happening. But what were some of the big root causes that you uncovered?
Oh, big root causes. Some of them were consistent with the doctor's advice. So the dust mites
Yeah.
and I guess the underlying mold. So not food related mold, but say like black mold or foods that were going off or just like higher in histamine because they'd age through time. Those are some of the things. I think the fatty liver, the immunosuppressant, they were definitely very major root causes. And then also my GI map. did show that I had a lack of certain good bacteria in my gut. So those were the main root causes that we addressed in the first half of the program.
Yeah, okay. What was it like receiving these answers and actually understanding that you had sources of why there was inflammation in your body?
I felt so relieved to actually find something. Yeah. I wasn't afraid at all to see that I had things wrong with my body. It just was like, oh, okay, this finally makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
For
yeah.
some people, I think it can feel, I know for some people, it can feel like a bit of a double-edged sword. Yes, it's so nice to have the answers, but then it's like, "Okay, I have to deal with this stuff now." But for you,
Mm,
you were just like, don't care. I've got answers. Let's tackle it.
yeah, exactly. I
Mhm.
was like, I just wanted the solution all along. And yeah, I wasn't really afraid of what what the results were. I just wanted to know them so I could do something about it.
Yeah, of course. And yeah,
Yeah.
what did it look like after that once you found those root causes? You're working on the pillars, you started to adjust things. Talk to me about some of the healing that you experienced after working on some of these root causes.
The healing was very gradual and very, as with TSW, it comes back every now and then, but it comes back less intense every time.
Yeah.
So I'd say it was the healing process had its ups and downs. It was definitely challenging when, yeah, I guess you had expectations. You wanted to heal after a certain amount of time and you don't really see the progress.
Yeah.
But I think as the I said with the mindset piece earlier, like learning not to put a timeline on it was really powerful because then I could actually just appreciate the work that my body was doing, understand that it takes time to filter out all of those toxins and thinking I think I just kept reminding myself like it's been 20 something years of eczema. If it takes 3 years even just to get rid of it, it's worthwhile
Yeah.
in hindsight. And so I try to just like paint the bigger picture. Look, it's only been 2 months. Like I can't expect that. My body is at a certain point. But knowing what the solution was and knowing that I was being supported in the right ways was really helpful for me to stay strong and commit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think with the program, like having community was really helpful. Seeing everyone else, even though we all have different root causes, seeing everyone stay strong and support one another, that was really helpful to know I'm not alone in this. And if someone else can do it, I can do it, and we're all in it together. The community aspect was really nice.
Yeah, I'm so happy you touched on that. The community aspect is often something that I know people have been like, oh, that's nice to have. And maybe they overlook it and then they immerse themselves in the program and they recognize just how many people are actually struggling with the exact same feeling and the exact same experiences and the exact same thoughts and the exact same like,
Mhm.
physical sensations too. And it does become like such a source of comfort. And it is
Yeah.
a big part of what helps people heal. So I'm happy that you really felt that way. And you are a big part of that community too. I want to circle back to what you said about the timeline because that piece can be really tricky when you come into the program. And a lot of people have dealt with that. I've dealt with that too. When you come into the program, you're like, okay, 6 months, I'm going to be healed by then. But if you think
Mhm.
about how long you've struggled with eczema, and for you, it was 20 plus years of your life. For some people, it's like 40. For some people, it's maybe only a couple years. But when you've been struggling with eczema for a long time, like the majority of your life, 6 months is just like a small couple pages in that chapter.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it does take a little bit more time. You touched on that because it is so freeing to release the grip on the end date and just let your body do what it needs to do. Obviously, there is a structure and a process, and we see so many people come through and they're fine by the end of the 6 months. But people who have been dealing with it for a long time, sometimes it does just take a bit more time. And I'm really glad that you had that awareness and that you spoke to that because that is just the reality about healing. It's not
Mm.
necessarily a quick fix. And that's what we tend to see when you go down more of the conventional path and you try different doctors and allergy doctors and dermatologists and things like that. They offer a quick fix. So it's really tricky to digest the fact that it might take months or it might take a year or maybe even a little bit longer. that you spoke to that, Simone. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I would also really love to hear about some of the changes that you started to notice in your skin and in your body. I know you saw lots of changes in your mindset. What were some
Mm.
of those? How did some of those changes start to manifest for you in ways that you could actually see that you were healing?
Yeah, so many. My skin, I noticed the biggest thing that I noticed was after the TSW, or as the TSW symptoms were dying down, it was just a lot of flaking. It was really dry. I was just like shedding everywhere. But I think that was in the program, you describe it as that healing cycle where you go from inflamed to flaky and dry. And so having that knowledge was really helpful to me because I was like, okay, it looks scary, but my skin is doing its thing. It's needing to, I guess, shed off that layer that in order for new skin to grow. Yeah, so the flakiness was took quite a while and it would ebb and flow. So it will go from flaky and then it will get inflamed again, it will be itchy and then it will like flake again.
Yeah.
So expecting that cycle was important. And then 6 months after, now that I'm in the alumni program as well, the flaking I've noticed like reduces significantly. It just isolates to certain areas and the flakes themselves become smaller and smaller. And then it ends up just being like a little dry patch. So that's the healing journey that I've noticed on my skin.
Yeah.
But aside from that, after the TSW and dropping the immunosuppressant, I was able to have like regular periods again. I didn't have my period for like probably 6 months for
Wow.
last year. And yeah, I did testings and stuff for that. But thankfully, like the hormone issue wasn't really a root cause. It was just purely stress. So it's incredible to see how the mindset piece actually impacts you physically as well. When I was able to get regular periods again, I felt more balanced from a hormone perspective and like my mood. I lost quite a bit of weight as well. I didn't notice that I gained a lot of weight on the immunosuppressant. And yeah, I think those were like really massive changes that I noticed. Yeah, my face shape changing and the color of my skin changing, going from dark red and patchy to now my regular skin tone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so very obvious physical changes too.
Yeah, wow. Those are some really big changes that you've experienced and some really big things that
Mm.
maybe go undetected or unnoticed at first until
Mm.
you actually see the contrast, like not having your period and realizing how the hormone imbalance there because of stress and being on medications, like how that affects your body. And then
Mm.
you kind of start to see the changes and you're like, wow, okay, I was really not well. And then
Yeah.
seeing it physically, like the light come back into your eyes, the skin tone return to its normal skin tone, like all of the inflammation leaving your face. Like those are some really significant changes. What was it like to start to come home to yourself again? Because that's huge.
Yeah, surprisingly, it wasn't even something that I really noticed
Okay.
because it was very gradual. But in hindsight, wow, like it's crazy the changes. And I did try to not associate, like if I had a clear skin day, I'd be like happy about it. But then if I ate something or if I went back on the cycle of TSW, if it just naturally came back again, I would be quite distressed again. So I think the program does make a point in trying to manage your mindset around how you look. So yeah, there were a few weeks and months where I tried not to look at myself too much and just let my body heal. Yeah, and then obviously in hindsight, now I can look back and say, wow, I noticed the difference.
Yeah, it's always nice to reflect and just to see that your body is coming back into a state of homeostasis again, and you're seeing the changes in that. And sometimes, yeah, we don't realize until we look back at an old photo or something, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah, exactly.
crazy." How has
Mm.
this impacted your day-to-day life, just seeing this healing happening and being through the thick of it with TSW and just understanding that you've got like a really beautiful mindset, you've got all these beautiful practices in the way of the
Mm.
tools. How has that transformation kind of shaped where you are now?
Yeah, I definitely feel more in sync with my body overall. I understand it, what it needs a bit more. I am able to notice the way that it's signaling certain things to me. And I've been able to establish a really healthy relationship with food now, despite my ongoing IgE allergies.
Yeah.
I've been able to enjoy a lot of tasty food again, and I've come up with a really good routine to eating whole foods and yeah, being able to eat fresh foods, like preparing, like even meal prepping. I have them frozen and stuff. I'm able to yeah, keep up the healthy diet, but in a practical way for work and things like that. Day to day now, I think I'm at like a really good balance with maintaining the healthy lifestyle. I'm actually really grateful because, yeah, I'm able to influence my family and friends as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. It's amazing when it becomes less about, okay, I need to do these things to heal, which true, but it eventually just becomes a lifestyle and it just becomes,
Yeah, it's like something I want to do now.
yeah, something you want to do.
Mm.
Yeah, and that is where I think the true healing lies. Like it's you come into the program, of course, to heal your skin, but you leave with so much more than that and such a different outlook and perspective on your health, but health overall and like what it means to actually take care of yourself. And that's what I'm hearing
Mm.
from you in the transformation. It's become a lifestyle versus
Yeah,
just I'm doing this to heal. It's I'm doing this so that I can stay well and so that I
for
can have others
sure.
too. Because your
Yeah.
skin is
Yeah,
amazing.
to feel good, to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm so grateful that you've had that transformation too, because you put a lot of effort in over the past little while. Simone, do you have any words of wisdom for people who are just starting out, people who were where you once were before you found out?
Yeah, I would say be compassionate to your body. It's going through a lot. And to definitely reach out to a professional that understands like eczema holistically and is able to look at what is driving those symptoms for you specifically, because there's just so much information out there and not everything works for everyone. And so everyone's root cause is different. So just getting the right information first is really key.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just that you're not alone and that healing is possible. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Those are some valuable and very accurate words of wisdom. I fully back everything you just shared. And for the members who might be listening to this who are just starting out in their healing journey now with us, they've just joined the program. Do you have any words of wisdom or words of encouragement for them? Maybe it's the same, maybe not.
Hmm. Trust in the process.
Love that.
Yeah, trust in the process. I think the be kind to your body is still relevant to the people who have joined, just because, yeah, the healing process isn't linear. And yeah, just to be patient on how long your body takes to respond and trust that every small thing really adds up over time and you will see outcomes, but it just might not be very obvious day to day.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that so much. Trusting in the process is something that many people hear at the beginning. They're like, huh? What process? How do I trust it? But it is
Mm.
something that everybody who shows up, puts the work in on the other side can say.
Yeah,
You're able to say that now because you put in so much work. And I just want to thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your story with us today, Simone. And
you're
yeah, just give us
welcome.
your time. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Not really. Yeah, just really want to thank everyone on the program. You guys really do an amazing job. And it really helps that you guys have also been through it. I know you, Mandy, have been through TSW and your mindset calls are really great. So,
Thank you.
yeah, hope you guys continue the good work and that, yeah, people will be really encouraged to work with you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And yeah, it is another thing, like just quickly, it's so helpful coming into this program and recognizing that you're not just navigating a program to heal your skin, but you're doing that alongside people who have done that. Like I've done that. Our other coach in the program has done that. Alicia, who's created our program, she's done that for herself. So it's not
Mm,
just based on, it's based on personal experience. And I know that I couldn't do the role that I did if I didn't have eczema myself, if I hadn't gone down the path of TSW and the path
mm,
of natural healing, because I understand how tricky that is. And I think that is such a valuable part of the program, is actually working with practitioners who get it because they've been through it, like not only with themselves, but like we've walked
mm,
people through it too. And I think that is something that is missing from a lot of maybe more of the conventional path. They don't actually know what it's like. They haven't been there. And eczema is a lot more than just rashes on the surface. And there's a lot of different
mm.
causes like you spoke to. So yeah, you did a beautiful job at just summarizing it and from your experience too. So I just want to thank you so much for being here today and for all of your sharing and your words of wisdom.
Thanks, Mandy.